Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Diamond Select Toys Anti-Venom Special Collector's Edition action figure. Anti-Venom does come with a display base. It looks like he comes with a pretty detailed looking display base. Looking forward to getting that out of packaging. But first things first, let's have a look at the package that he comes included with. On the side of the box here is some fantastic artwork of Anti-Venom, or Anti-Venom. And then on the back, a brief read-up says Eddie Brock thought his life had turned around after being transformed into powerful Venom and devoting his life to the destruction of Spider-Man. Instead, he was abandoned by Venom's symbiote and left for dead. With a new Venom taking his place, later giving a new lease on life by the mysterious Mr. Negative, the return of Venom triggered a dramatic transformation with Eddie, and Anti-Venom was born. Now fighting a new war-free of the symbiote, Anti-Venom true agenda will be revealed. Other figures available, there's Captain Marvel and Wolverine. All come to us from the folks over at Diamond Select Toys. You can go to www.diamondselecttoys.com. That being said, Spot is going to take a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're getting a better look at Marvel Select's Anti-Venom. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. The first thing you'll want to do when you get this out of packaging is that you want to put together the display base. Don't worry, it's only 3 pieces. You get the main rubble display base with a couple of these extensions sticking out, and then you have these much longer pieces that connect to the backs. This section right here, as you can see, has a shaped notch to it. It actually somehow, yes it does fit that notch right at the back. We'll just peg that into place. And this one here just clips into place like that. For storage, one thing, because they're not really pegged in, they're just kind of tabbed in, so to speak. If you ever want to package this up and you don't want to worry about these getting crushed, again, just take these apart and you can pack it away that way. Not that with Diamond Select Toys I ever really considered about packing these guys up. A lot of these ones are out on display. Fantastic looking display base. One thing, again, I always have to tip my hat to when it comes to Diamond Select is the level of detail. Not only even just in the figures, but the display stands that you get with the pieces. It has 2 peg points for his feet. This kind of symbiote kind of enveloping going on around him. Nice piece, nice painted piece. Really, as a whole, like that a lot. Put that to the side. And let's have a look at Anti-Venom. Great looking figure. It's a little distorted on detail. We've just finished having a look, just recently actually had finished looking at the Marvel Legends version of Anti-Venom. It was a good figure, but it suffered so much because it was a shorter, stumpier version. Its culprit was its legs. If only it had longer legs. It was a good solid figure, but it just came across too short. Anti-Venom here from the Marvel Select line, however, ends up transitioning and translating better, I think, to a better looking figure. But if I had just a little small gripe I could make about the piece, it's that the paint, again, isn't as clear. It seems like it's a little more distorted, a little more muddled than, say, the Marvel Legends treatment. This one's a better detailed figure by far, but I just wish it kind of had that vibrant white, the vibrant black, that stark black that the Marvel Legends version had. If you could only take like the paint from the Marvel Legends version of Anti-Venom and you could stick it to this guy, I think this one's a better looking figure, but it feels a little more, it just feels like a little more muted in color, if that's the best way to describe it. He's very spiky. In fact, when you grab his legs, you kind of immediately you realize, oh yeah, there's a little bit of spikes. They're not sharp, but they are a little prickly on his legs. And he's got prickly points on his shoulders running all the way across, prickly little points sticking out from his arms, his elbows, and of course his forearms. I like the big claws that they've given him. He has a very feral, very vicious look to him. Something that I think just couldn't translate well in the Marvel Legends version of him. Something's very creepy about his face as well. Spot seems to be coining the term creepy, but there's something very creepy about his face. I'm going to use this comparison, and by far, I'm not necessarily saying that that's the case, but it has almost like a beaver-like face to it, where you see the front mandibles, these front teeth, because they are painted a different color, it kind of, to me, looks like some very horrific kind of beaver design to Anti-Venom. That's probably not something I would say to Anti-Venom's face, but I can say that to the toy. It won't matter. At least I don't think it will. But it's got a very more ferocious design to it, if that's the best way to describe it. A more ferocious design to it than the Marvel Legends version. The Marvel Legends did a solid job, but I feel Marvel Select's version of him just gives it more of that nasty just design to him, where he looks something that would be a menacing person to fight against, a very menacing character to fight against. The most of the body, other than really the red in his teeth, the most of his body is this white with black. Again, it's not quite a solid black, it's not quite a solid white. The white, in fact, is white, but it feels like the body is probably a gray undercolor, like the plastic itself is probably gray, and then they've washed it with white. The reason why I say that is because there's areas down here where I feel like the under plastic is showing through, that I feel like the white has been washed over top of it rather than it being a white plastic. I do really like the claws though. It's a good accompanying piece to the already outstanding Carnage and Venom that we've looked at before in previous videos. When it comes to Anti-Venom, his articulation, Anti-Venom has a ball hinge in his head. And again, when you move the head, you might be like, trying to find a way around the little spikes that are on his forehead here, or on the top of his head. Shoulders are on a hinge as well. They hinge out, but they sort of really stop at about there. Just due to the sculpt of the shoulders, they don't hinge any further back out than that. The arms still rotate all the way around. He has a hinge, only a single hinge in his arm, but he has a swivel in his wrist. He has no swivel, no crunch, I should say, in the upper torso, but his waist swivels. And then his legs go forward, back, and out. But it's the kind of hinge where you have to rotate the leg to get the leg to move a certain way. Swivel point at the top of his thigh, a single point bend in his knee, and a single hinge in his foot. Let's go ahead and we'll peg him into his display stand. When I display all my Marvel Legends, and actually for that matter Marvel Select figures, I always tend to display them with their corresponding display stands. I mean, the figures themselves are so very cool, but I mean, the icing on the cake is when you get them on these outstanding display stands. Anti-Venom is a solid figure. I wish the paint was a little more vibrant, a little more kind of popped on that white, and I wish the black was a little starker, but the sculpt is fantastic. The overall design of the body is good. I love the little spikes and little sharp pieces. Not really so much sharp, but little prickly pieces on the figure. And the display stand, again, is that icing on the cake. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Marvel Select Anti-Venom Special Collector's Edition figure. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more collectible spots, more toy spots, and other videos heading your way. Thanks for watching as you always do, guys. I'll see you guys next time.